They were once the kings of gaming, an esports dynasty, a YouTube empire, a brotherhood that redefined internet culture and turned trickshots into billion-dollar branding. FaZe Clan wasn't just a team, it was a lifestyle. But that empire is crumbling. From failed crypto deals, to public betrayals, to lawsuits and straight-up scams. Something broke inside FaZe Clan. And now fans don't see a brotherhood, they see a brand built on lies. What really happened to FaZe Clan? How did they go from internet legends to a company nobody wants to trust anymore? This is not just about gaming. It's about money. It's about fame. It's about power. And how all of it was weaponized against the very people who built them.
Hi, I'm Scandalize, and I uncover the stories they don't want you to hear. The rise, the fall, the lies, the leaks, and the power behind the curtain. Because every legend has a dark side, and I'm here to show it to you.
With a boardroom. It started with a no-scope on high-rise. FaZe Clan began as a YouTube phenomenon in 2010, a group of teenagers uploading Call of Duty sniper montages with custom intros, dubstep edits, and pixel-perfect trick shots. This was the golden age of gaming YouTube, and FaZe was the beating heart of it. Players like FaZe Temperrr, FaZe Banks, and FaZe Rain weren't just good at the game. They had style, they had personality, and more importantly, they had community. It wasn't just content, it was a movement. Millions of kids around the world weren't just watching, they were copying, trying to get recruited, making their own trickshot teams, wearing the FaZe logo like it was a badge of honor. Then came the real turning point. FaZe turned content into business. The clan evolved. They moved into content houses, built massive audiences on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, launched FaZe-branded merchandise, collaborated with athletes, rappers, even fashion designers. By the late 2010s, FaZe wasn't just a team, it was a brand. An empire. They were flying private, signing multi-million-dollar deals, walking red carpets, and getting featured in Forbes as the future of entertainment. But with every new mansion, every investor, every collab with mainstream celebrities, FaZe moved a little further from its roots, from trickshots to trust fund deals, from brotherhood to business. And while the numbers looked good, the foundation was already starting to crack. Because when you build an empire on personality, but then trade that personality for profit, what's left? In 2022, FaZe Clan pulled off something no other gaming group had ever done. They went public, a SPAC merger valued at over $1 billion. The dream turned FaZe into the first true gaming lifestyle conglomerate. Take what Nike is to sports and become that for Gen Z gaming. It was historic, it was bold, and at the time, it looked genius.
12 years ago, a group of renegade teenagers decided to forego convention, forego a regular path. They followed their passions. They unlocked an enormous community that was undervalued, and they built what would become an historic brand. I am certain you've never seen a group like this in front of this camera before, and that's just emblematic of the type of future that we're building. Here's to an unparalleled future and the future of how Gen Z begins to lead. FaZe Up.
See the opening bell now ringing on Wall Street. Everyone's happy, they're waving, they're pushing that button.
Over at the NASDAQ, it's FaZe Clan, which is an esports and entertainment organization.
FaZe Clan, a youth lifestyle and gaming platform, celebrating its listing via SPAC. I think that's 2 days in a row.
FaZe founders were now shareholders. The company had board members, quarterly earnings calls, a ticker symbol, FaZe, listed on NASDAQ. This wasn't YouTube anymore, it was Wall Street. But behind the scenes, everything started to fall apart. The brand that was once built by gamers was now being run by suits. Creative control slipped away from the original members. Deals were being made without their input. Fans noticed fewer FaZe videos and more corporate campaigns. And worst of all, the stock plummeted from a high of over $20 to literal pennies in just months. Investors lost money, fans lost lost faith, founding members felt silenced. The very empire that trickshots built was now being dismantled by PowerPoint presentations and quarterly KPIs. The brand went from FaZe Up to sell out, and the people who built it, they weren't just angry, they were heartbroken. It started with subtle posts, frustrated tweets, cryptic Instagram stories. Then it exploded. FaZe Rain, FaZe Tico, FaZe Banks. The very faces that helped build the empire from their bedrooms, now openly calling out their own organization. What happened? The founding members said they were pushed out, that their voices were no longer heard, that the suits in charge had hijacked the culture FaZe was built on. They claimed that the people making decisions didn't even game, that the OGs were being used for clout, but denied actual control. Tico dropped a 17-minute video calling the organization a joke. Rain said FaZe forgot who made them. Banks, he called the leadership parasites. It wasn't just drama. This was a full-on rebellion from within, and fans, they sided with the originals. Because when the people who built FaZe say it's no longer FaZe, you can't help but ask, who's really running the show? And more importantly, what's left of the brand if its heart has walked out the door? In early 2022, FaZe Clan made a bold move. They dropped their own line of NFTs, digital art, limited supply, exclusive access. It was pitched as the next big thing for FaZe fans. The community was hyped until it wasn't. Almost overnight, the NFT market crashed, and FaZe's collection, it vanished. No updates, no roadmaps, no real value. People who bought in early, fans who trusted FaZe, were left holding the bag. It wasn't just bad business, it felt like betrayal, because the same influencers who built careers on being real suddenly looked like they were cashing in and ghosting. And it didn't stop there. FaZe started dropping merch with limited restocks and broken promises. Pre-orders never fulfilled. Customer service, non-existent. Fans who grew up watching these creators now felt used, because instead of building culture, FaZe was selling hype. And just like that, the trust was cracking. But the next scandal, it would shatter everything. In July 2022, FaZe Clan went public. That's right, the kings of Call of Duty and quickscopes were now trading on Wall Street. Their SPAC deal valued them at $1 billion. A billion-dollar gaming empire built on memes, kill streaks, and merch drops? It was historic. FaZe became the first major gaming org to ever IPO. The internet was buzzing, but behind the scenes, the cracks were growing deeper. FaZe promised innovation, new shows, global expansion, even movies. But once they hit the stock market, reality struck back hard. Within months, their stock price plummeted over 90%. They were delisted from the NASDAQ. Investors fled. Fans felt confused. Executives blamed the economy. But here's the truth. FaZe Clan wasn't built for Wall Street. It was built for YouTube. It thrived on chaos, memes, and personality-driven content, not board meetings and quarterly earnings. And trying to corporatize that culture, it backfired spectacularly. By chasing legitimacy, FaZe lost its identity, and with it, they started losing their most valuable asset of all, the community that built them. It started with whispers, then tweets, then full-blown exposés from the people who built FaZe from the ground up. FaZe Rain, FaZe Temperrr, even Banks. The OGs weren't just disappointed, they were furious. Why? Because the FaZe they helped create, the brotherhood, the grind, the authenticity, had become something else entirely. A corporate machine, run by executives who didn't know the difference between a trickshot and a Twitch stream. FaZe Rain went public with damning videos, calling out the board, calling out fake influencers brought in for clout. He accused FaZe of selling out, trading legacy for likes, and he wasn't alone. Temperrr, one of the co-founders, echoed the frustration. Deals were being made without their input. OG members were pushed out, their shares diluted, their voices silenced. Suddenly, the group that once lived in a $10 million LA mansion, pulling all-nighters for gaming videos, was divided. The soul of FaZe was up for sale, and the people who made it a movement, they were no longer welcome at the table. It was supposed to be a comeback, a rebrand, a resurrection. FaZe Clan, once built by scrappy gamers in bedrooms, was now collabing with rap icons, NFL stars, and Wall Street. And the crown jewel? Snoop Dogg.
Am I still streaming?
Let's go.
You're breaking up.
I'm breaking up heads right now, baby. That's all the breaking up doing. It is. FaZe Snoop. I am a part of the FaZe Clan.
FaZe Up with us.
It's going down. FaZe the fuck up.
In 2022, FaZe announced Snoop was joining the board of directors and becoming a content creator. Mainstream media lit up, FaZe stock briefly spiked, and headlines claimed FaZe was changing the game again. But here's the thing. Name power doesn't equal culture power. Fans weren't impressed. The gaming audience, the ones who built FaZe, saw it as a PR stunt. Snoop wasn't dropping gameplays or grinding ranked in Warzone, he was posing in merch and doing brand deals. Even worse, within a year, Snoop quietly left the board. No fanfare, no explanation. It wasn't just Snoop. Other big-name collaborations flopped too. They were hollow moves, flashy on the surface, but disconnected from what made FaZe. FaZe. It became clear. You can't buy culture with celebrity, and FaZe was learning that the hard way. Going public was supposed to be FaZe Clan's ultimate level up. A gaming brand on the NASDAQ, that was unheard of. It was their way of saying we're not just influencers anymore, we're a real business. On July 20th, 2022, FaZe hit the stock market with a valuation of $725 million. Gaming media called it historic, mainstream finance called it risky, and FaZe fans, they were confused. But the hype didn't last, because within months, the stock price collapsed, like catastrophically. By early 2023, FaZe was in danger of being delisted from the stock exchange. Their valuation tanked to under $100 million, a brutal fall from grace. And this wasn't just a number on a chart, this was the moment the illusion broke. FaZe had sold itself as the future of esports, a media powerhouse, a culture-shifting juggernaut. But when you peel back the hood, it was clear. The business model didn't make sense. They were bleeding money, merch sales were down, viewership was flatlining, sponsorships weren't enough to plug the holes. Worse, the people in charge weren't the gamers anymore. They were corporate suits chasing numbers. And the original creators, they were being pushed out of their own brand. What started as a dream built by gamers was now just another failed tech stock. FaZe hadn't just lost its money, it had lost its soul. For years, the original FaZe founders, like FaZe Rain, Banks, Temperrr, and Adapt, were the faces of the brand. And we're just players, it were icons. And fans didn't follow FaZe for the logo, they followed the people. But somewhere along the way, those people got pushed to the sidelines. FaZe Rain was the first to go public. He posted raw, unfiltered rants on Instagram and YouTube, calling out FaZe's executives by name, saying they were more interested in investor meetings than community culture, claiming that FaZe had betrayed its roots. This isn't FaZe anymore, he said. It's just a hollow shell of what we built. And he wasn't alone. FaZe Banks, one of the most influential figures in gaming, started echoing the same message. They weren't just frustrated, they felt robbed. The company they helped build had become unrecognizable. The brand they made cool was now being run by people who didn't even play games. And fans, they felt the shift too. Gone were the iconic trickshot montages. Gone were the raw brotherhood style vlogs. In their place, corporate tweets, awkward brand deals, paid promotions that didn't feel real. And it all came to a head in 2023 when Rain exposed that some of the executives didn't even know how to name 5 FaZe members. That was it. That was the moment everyone realized FaZe Clan had become everything it once rebelled again. If FaZe Clan's credibility was hanging by a thread, this was the moment it snapped. In early 2023, FaZe announced the signing of Grace Van Dien, a Twitch streamer and actress best known for her role in Stranger Things. It should have been a win. Mainstream crossover, new fan base, a chance to evolve. But the internet didn't see it that way. Fans immediately called it out, not because Grace was untalented, but because the move felt corporate, calculated, soulless, disconnected from the FaZe legacy. And then came the moment that lit the fuse. FaZe Rain, one of the OGs, posted a video saying Grace didn't deserve the spot, that she wasn't part of the grind, that she didn't earn it like the rest of them did. She couldn't name 3 FaZe members, he claimed. This isn't about community anymore, it's a PR stunt. The backlash was nuclear. Grace responded, calling the criticism misogynistic. Rain doubled down, saying the issue wasn't gender, it was authenticity. And just like that, FaZe Clan was at war with itself. Old school versus new school, culture versus clout, creators versus corporate. And fans? They watched it all unravel in real time. Live streams, Twitter threads, and explosive YouTube callouts. Instead of leading the industry, FaZe became a meme, a cautionary tale of what happens when you sell out your soul for brand deals and boardrooms. Let's rewind to 2022, when FaZe Clan officially went public. The move was historic. The first major gaming org to hit Wall Street. FaZe. Valuation over $1 billion. The gaming world held its breath. This was supposed to be the moment FaZe proved they weren't just a content house, they were a tech empire. An esports juggernaut. The next Disney for gamers. But the stock? It tanked hard. From nearly $20 a share to under $1 in just months. Investors fled. Credibility collapsed. The media called it one of the worst SPAC flops of the year. And for fans who grew up on FaZe montages and clan wars, watching their heroes become a failed Wall Street ticker felt like betrayal. Because FaZe wasn't built in a boardroom. It was built in bedrooms, in trickshots, in Men W2 lobbies, and YouTube montages. And now, it was just another failed IPO, with a logo no one trusted anymore. But this wasn't rock bottom. Not yet. That came next. This was the moment the mask started to slip, when the founders turned on the machine they helped build, and fans realized something was deeply wrong behind the scenes. FaZe wasn't falling apart because of a bad investment. It was imploding from the inside. Let's talk about FaZe Rain. One of the most loved creators in FaZe history. A guy who lived the highs, survived the lows, and practically defined the FaZe identity. But in 2023, Rain wasn't uploading trick shots or reacting to COD clips. He was calling out FaZe Clan publicly, exposing the rot. They sold us out. They turned FaZe into a brand I don't even recognize anymore. On live streams, in tweets, in interviews, he dropped bomb after bomb. He said FaZe no longer cared about its creators, that they were pushing out the OGs who built the name just to bring in more brand deals and celebrity investors. And Rain wasn't alone. FaZe Banks, one of the original architects of the FaZe dream, backed him. Temperrr, another founding member, echoed the frustration. For fans who'd grown up watching these guys in G Fuel jerseys trickshotting on Rust, this was like watching your favorite band break up on stage. They didn't just lose their leaders, they lost the soul of FaZe Clan. And to make it worse, FaZe management said nothing. No accountability, no response, just press releases and silence. The fall of FaZe wasn't just about corporate greed. It was about identity theft. Because somewhere along the way, the clan that started in bedrooms, recording 360 no-scopes on Xbox, became a lifestyle brand chasing clout. It started subtly, collabs with big names, guest appearances, sponsorships, but then Snoop Dogg joined FaZe. Yes, the rap legend himself. Board seat, chain, commercials. On paper, it was genius. FaZe was going mainstream, but to the core audience, the loyal fans who had been there since the trickshot days, it felt wrong. It felt like FaZe had stopped being a gaming org and turned into a celebrity influencer collective. The heart and hustle of the old FaZe was fading, and in its place, Hollywood glitz, PR campaigns, fashion drops. People didn't join FaZe anymore because they loved Call of Duty. They joined because it was cool, trendy, marketable. And when your culture is built on hype, hype dies fast. The fans started to turn. Old school members spoke out, and everyone began asking the same question. What even is FaZe anymore? And more importantly, who is it for? Imagine building something from scratch. Years of sweat, climbing from the bottom, turning your name into a symbol, and then getting kicked out of it. That's what happened to the OGs of FaZe Clan. People like Rain, Tico, and Temperrr. The faces that were FaZe were pushed out. Not by fans, not by haters, but by the very company they helped build. Why? Because they didn't fit the new brand image. These were the guys who lived and breathed FaZe. Uploading daily, shooting skits, creating culture, and now they were being replaced by TikTok stars, boardroom executives, brand partners who didn't even game. FaZe became unrecognizable. And the worst part, they weren't just removed quietly. They were mocked, gaslit, told they were being dramatic. So they did the only thing they could. They went public. Twitter threads, YouTube exposes, behind the scenes breakdown, and suddenly the fans saw what FaZe had become, a soulless machine run by suits exploiting nostalgia. The betrayal wasn't just corporate, it was personal. And with every OG that left, another piece of FaZe's legacy crumbled. When the dust started to settle, what was left of FaZe Clan? Not the FaZe you knew, not the Brotherhood, not the content kings of 2014. What remained was a corporate zombie wearing a gamer's mask. The YouTube videos, dead views. The streams, ghost towns. The merch, still overpriced, still soulless. And every desperate rebrand made it worse. They dropped new logos, signed to TikTok influencers who didn't even know what a trick shot was, and tried to pivot to fashion, crypto, even esports again. But it was too late, because you can't fake authenticity, and you can't rebuild trust once you've burned it. Former fans started unsubscribing, OG supporters stopped watching, and Gen Z never really cared in the first place. FaZe Clan went from being the future of gaming to a warning sign, a cautionary tale of what happens when you trade community for capital, and when you prioritize the boardroom over the bedroom where it all began. Every time FaZe Clan trends now, it's not for a new highlight. It's not because someone hit a 360 no-scope. It's not for a viral tournament win. It's because someone else left, or another scandal leaked, or a sponsor backed out. FaZe doesn't feel like a team anymore. It feels like a ticking clock. But here's the thing, some people still believe in it. Some of the OGs still want to fix it. Some fans still wear the jersey, some creators still carry the banner. Not because it's profitable, but because it meant something. FaZe wasn't just content, it was identity, belonging, escape. So can it be saved? Yes. But not by a rebrand, not by NFTs, not by partnerships. It can only be saved the same way it was built, by creators for the culture. By going back to the essence. No scripts, no suits, just skill, chaos, and connection. But let's be honest, at this point, FaZe may be too far gone. Not because it's unsavable, but because it forgot what made it worth saving. Before the stock tickers, before the NFTs, before the lawsuits and boardroom drama, FaZe was a feeling. It was 3 AM lobbies on MW2. It was 1440 cross-map spins. It was that one intro you heard before every legendary shot, FaZe Up. It was the rawest form of digital brotherhood. You weren't just watching content. You were part of a rebellion, a movement, a collective of outcasts turning Xbox Live clips into generational influence. And even now, if you close your eyes and go back, you can almost hear the sound of FaZe Rain hitting a shot and screaming into his mic. But that era, it's gone. What's left is a ghost. A billion-dollar logo with no soul behind it. An empire built on loyalty burned down by greed. And maybe that's the saddest part. Because FaZe didn't just lose money. It lost trust. It lost meaning. It lost its roots. The story of FaZe Clan isn't just about Call of Duty clips and esports sponsorships. It's a case study in hype, hubris, and how not to build a legacy. Let's break it down. Lesson 1, community, clout. FaZe rose because it gave young gamers something to belong to. It fell because it forgot the community that made it powerful. When you put stock prices above the fans, you lose both. Lesson 2, hype can't replace trust. The drop culture, the influencer hype cycles, the crypto partnerships, they created flashbulb moments, but no substance. And when the lights dimmed, nothing real was left standing. Lesson 3, talent is not replaceable. The OG FaZe members were more than just content creators. They were cultural architects. Trying to replace that with corporate influencers and celebrity investors, that was the beginning of the end. Lesson 4, sell out carefully. There's nothing wrong with monetizing a brand, but if your audience sees the sellout and you give them nothing in return, they'll leave you behind faster than you think. FaZe could have been a dynasty. Instead, it became a warning sign. And now every esports org, every creator brand, every digital empire, they're all watching what happened to FaZe, asking the same question. Will we be next? What do you call a gaming empire that lost its players, its fans, its founders, and its purpose? You call it FaZe Clan in 2025. Once a symbol of digital rebellion, now a case study in brand collapse. They had the audience, they had the momentum, they even had Wall Street money, but they forgot one thing. Authenticity can't be bought. The FaZe name might still exist. There might still be merch drops, announcements, new collabs, but without the heart, the culture, it's just a soulless shell with a Twitter handle. No legends, no loyalty, no legacy. Just a name people used to care about. FaZe Clan's fall wasn't just a fluke. It was a slow-motion car crash we all saw coming. A brand born in bedrooms and buried by boardrooms. The question now isn't what happened to FaZe, it's, are we watching the same thing happen to every creator brand around us? Because what FaZe lost, trust, loyalty, identity, every digital empire is one bad decision away from losing too. So next time a brand asks you to join the movement, ask yourself, who's really leading it? And what do they stand to gain? If this hit hard, if you're part of the generation that grew up on FaZe montages, leave a comment with your favorite memory. Drop a like if this made you rethink where your loyalty goes online, and subscribe, because this isn't the last empire we'll expose. This is Scandalize, where legends are remembered and illusions are unraveled.